Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jonathan Budd here, back again with this video I'm actually very excited about because it's a class that I haven't ever shared before, that I don't really hear many people talking about at all, and it's probably one of the most valuable things that you can ever learn starting out as a grassroots entrepreneur. And essentially what we're going to be talking about is money. Okay, we're going to be talking about money maximization strategies, and I'm going to share from my life's experiences what I've learned earning over $17 million in the last 6 years, but most importantly, how I've kept a lot of that money. Because I have a little secret to share, my friends. The secret is that a lot of times you hear people say, you know, I'm an XYZ company and I'm making $100,000 a month, or my team does this a month, or I do 120K a month, or whatever the heck it is, right? That's irrelevant, okay? What people are doing gross, what the volume is irrelevant. The real question is, how much are you keeping? What is the net profit? Most people have designed their whole strategies around hitting a certain level of income. Well, I used to think that way. And I went out there and I hit all those levels of income. And while I made a lot of money, what I've now learned is that I worked way harder than I had to. And because I wasn't designing my strategy around how do I maximize net income, it creates the most massive difference in your quality of life and in the amount of money you actually have in the bank that you can imagine. I'll give you one example. In 2010, I made on the books $6.2 million. Okay, $6.2 million. Not too bad, right? That year I kept 2.6, I think it was, 2.4. It was somewhere around 2.4 to 2.6. That's a humongous net profit. Now, the only reason why I was able to make such a humongous net profit is because we, my friends, are in the internet business. We are in a digital business. Most of us, okay, most of all of us have tremendous opportunities to have net profits like most traditional business owners can't even fathom. In fact, just to give you an understanding of just how much money that is, because I've looked at a lot of different models now, in a lot of different companies, if you're earning $50 to $100 million a year revenue as a company, you may or may not be taking down that much net profit, okay? This is how it breaks down. In most traditional companies, they may have a 10% net profit model. So if they're doing $100 million a year, the company is making $10 million a year. Now, all of that money, most times in companies that size, doesn't go, the owner doesn't take $10 million a year net profit, no way. Most of that money goes back into the business. A distribution will go to the partners. So typically how it looks is the partners may take a 20% distribution of profits. Now, if there's one partner, that's not bad. That's $2 million net. So that same company, if there was one sole owner of a $100 million company doing a 10% net profit, and he took a 20% distribution every year, just made as much money as I did with 6.4, whatever it is, right? If there's multiple partners, then it's even less. That's an incredibly typical example of how it usually works. So that's why you got to understand net profit, because I guarantee, well, I won't even go there. But net profit is a super important thing to focus on, my friends. Super important. And most people have it all wrong. They're focusing on the revenue, they're focusing on the volume, when in reality, you want to be focusing on the net profit. Now, to continue the story, in 2010, I worked harder than I had ever worked in my life. I killed myself in 2010. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I was literally exhausted. I was done. I did not have the passion that I had anymore. I did not have the desire. I didn't care. I was like, you know what? I'm done. I'm finished. I mean, I took a 12-month hiatus at the end of all that and went and refound my soul and went and found all the new areas I want to focus. I've launched since. I've created 3 app companies and all these different things. I mean, it wiped me out in a great way, right? In a good way, in a way that pushed me to that next level and stage of my life. But realistically, I exhausted myself to earn that $2.4 million net profit, right? Here's the funny thing. This year, I'm pretty much going to make the same, if not more, net profit. And I've worked so much less, it's insane. It's insane. I've literally worked a fraction of how much I worked in 2010, yet I will have a stellar year, an absolutely stellar year. Okay, what's the secret? The secret is I went back and I started optimizing my business models. And I went back and I applied the knowledge that I learned over the last 6 years of my life about business to optimize the models, and I eradicated all the things that actually aren't very profitable and only focused on the things that were very profitable. I'm not going to teach you that here because you don't pay me enough money. You've got to pay me a lot more money for me to show you how to do that. And I will show you how to do that, and I will teach you how to become a fantastic entrepreneur. Believe me, I will. In fact, you should be at my next event and I'll go over into all the details of how you can work with me there. But you don't pay me enough money for that to teach you now. However, because I'm an incredibly, incredibly nice guy, I'm going to teach you some amazing, like, change your life, change your business, change everything for you knowledge right now, today, for free, that I call the 3 money fallacies, and on the other page, the road to smart money. And I want to share my experiences that I've learned thus far that have allowed me to bank, is essentially what I'll call it. It's to bank money. Whereas a lot of times entrepreneurs make money, they don't bank money. They make money and then a few years later, they're broke all over again. And I've seen this happen more times than you would ever care to admit. Because we all have these fantasies and these fallacies that I'm going to get into that you know, our life is going to be a certain way when we reach certain point, yada, 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 which is all bullcrap. All of it is bullcrap. And so many people buy into these fallacies that when they actually do create success, they waste it all and they piss it away. And they end up back at square one just a few years later wondering, how the heck did I get here? I'm going to make sure that that does not happen to you today. But on top of making sure that that doesn't happen to you today, I'm going to give you the principles to actually scale your money, to bank money, and to maximize money so much faster. And I'm going to share with you my exact life story of how I did it. Because I think there's a tremendous amount of value and a tremendous amount of insight that can be taken from my particular life story of how I really kept a huge portion of that $17 million. And I don't think that's very common. I think the more common thing is that, well, number one, people take a lot longer to reach that level of success than I did. And there's a reason why, and I'll get into that in just a bit. And B, number two, when they do, I think they end up with a lot less money. And again, I've got so many countless stories and examples I could share with you of people who are my friends, who I know, who have made a lot more money than I have and don't even have, you know, much to show for it. So that's everything we're going to be covering today. Watch this whole video. Just soak it all up, because this is straight up money mentoring, money advice, money knowledge. If you take the energy of what I'm sharing with you today, it's going to help you no matter what stage you're at in your business. Even if you're just starting to reach that first phase of, like, I'm creating survival income, I'm creating livable income, this is going to give you a foundation that puts you into the future of your success and gives you a framework for how to approach your success. And hopefully, you know, we take this knowledge and we make it real already. So, you know, I can remember myself being, you know, 22 years old, living in my parents' basement, working on my business, but every piece of knowledge I collected, I knew it was useful because I knew I was going to be there. I knew I was going to be successful. I used every piece of knowledge as a way to future pace myself into the future. It was like, okay, you know what, right now I'm not making any money, but I don't care because I will be making money. And now that and because I know I will be making money, I absolutely know that this will be useful to me. I'm going to take this in and embody it right now because it's already useful to me because I'm already making money. That was my attitude. Everything I embodied right now because it was already useful to me because I'm already making money, even when I wasn't making anything. And that's the pure level of just confidence and belief and knowingness that you have to have within yourself about your own capabilities and about your own ability to make money. So let's get into the fallacies. 3 money fallacies. Number 1, just because I'm making fill in the blank XYZ per month, okay? Just because I'm making $50,000 per month, just because I'm making $20,000 per month, just because I'm making $100,000 per month, just because I'm making $10,000 per month, I'm done. Fallacy number 1. And this is the subconscious thing that most of us don't even want to admit, but we are projecting that into the future. I guarantee almost all of us out there are thinking right now, once I reach XYZ per month, I'm done. And if you're really honest with yourself, you'll probably find that belief. Because you think, and everyone does, I did too, that reaching this per month, 50,000, 20,000, 100,000, I'm done. The truth is, you are never done. You are never done. That's the truth. There is no done. And the people who think that they are done are the first to lose it all. Okay? The people who think that they're done, that they've reached a certain level and now they have no worries and can be carefree and can do whatever they want and can spend and can do that, blah, 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 are the first to lose it all. Okay? Keep all of these fallacies really close to you, because on the next page when I teach you the road to smart money, you're going to see why every decision you need to be made, that you make concerning your money, needs to be cross-referenced across these 3 fallacies. Fallacy number 2. That XYZ per month is mine. Okay? That 20,000 per month is mine. That 50,000 per month is mine. That, 100,000 per month is mine. Here's the truth. No, it's not. No, it is not yours. It's not yours at all. And I'm going to demonstrate on the next page when I go into this how thinking that XYZ per month is mine leads so many entrepreneurs to their actual downfall. It literally crushes them. They literally end up in a place where they scratch their head and go, how the heck did I get here? And there's a bunch of ways by which that happens. Money fallacy number 3. It will be there next month. It will be there next month. This is one that as entrepreneurs, we've got to live with, because this ain't no job, okay? Money fallacy number 3, it will be there next month. Truth, maybe and maybe not. That's the truth, okay? We're entrepreneurs. We walk a line of risk. That's what we do. That's why we have potential that average people will never have. Average people sell their risk every day for a consistent paycheck. That's all they want, is a consistent paycheck where they're safe. And in order to get that consistent paycheck every day where you're safe and you're not the one taking the risk to get it, you sell all the possibility of being an entrepreneur. You give it up. But because entrepreneurs are willing to take that risk of walking the line, we have possibilities at our fingertips that average people will never have. But here's the truth. It will be there next month. Maybe and maybe not. The smart entrepreneurs design their businesses for maximum money in the bank now, maximum money in the bank now, and future security and cash flow. We design our businesses for maximum money in the bank now and future security and cash flow. I could go into a thesis about just this one subject alone. I'm not kidding you. Because in my 6 years of my career, what has actually provided the majority of my income has been in 100% constant change always. In 2007, I was in an opportunity that was paying me over $50,000 a month. Within 12 months, that opportunity had crashed and I was in another one. Within 12 months, that one had crashed and I was already doing something else. Within 12 months, this had changed and that had changed and this had changed and that has changed. That's pretty much the only given is change. And if I hadn't designed my business the entire way for maximum money in the bank now, which leads to future security and cash flow, I would have been screwed already 10 times over. But because all of these fallacies were distinguished early on in my career, I set my business up for maximum success and for maximum security. And God, I can talk so much about this. I really wish I had more time. You got to come spend some time with me at our events and in person so that I can really teach more of this stuff. Anyways, these 3 money fallacies are tremendously huge. Tremendously huge. These 3 money fallacies cause so much wealth to be wasted from grassroots entrepreneurs. And the reality is most people have to go through an entire success cycle to realize these money fallacies on their own. Most people have to literally have a huge success cycle run. It may be a 5-year run, a 10-year run, because what's it take to actually create a run? First, you've got to invest years of momentum. Once you invest years of learning, years of knowledge, years of whatever, you can hit the right opportunity, the right business, the right timing, whatever it is, and boom, you actually have a run. It took a few years to get there. Once you hit your run, that run could last forever, or it could last a specific time period. My experience is that it's pretty specific time periods. Maybe you hit a company while it was hot. Maybe you hit a concept while it was hot. Maybe you hit a product while it was hot. You hit something while it was hot, but the market's constantly changing, so it's a run. And things change. That's what happens all the time. Now, if you go through that run and you haven't distinguished the money fallacies, as you'll see on the next page, you made terrible and stupid decisions every single way along your path with your money, based on these 3 money fallacies. And at the end of that run, you may find that you have way less freaking money than you ever thought you'd have based on how much you were making. And now you're scratching your head saying, Jesus, I got to start all over again almost from scratch. How the hell did that happen? Most of the time it takes a decade to learn that experience, and the next time people do it, they keep a heck of a lot more of their money in that next run. So let's get into it, because you can solve this all today. Now, here's the road to smart money. And I'm going to use my life again as an example because there's just a lot to be learned from it. So the road to smart money, rule number one is that you make absolutely no decision. You don't make a single decision about your money with one of the 3 money fallacies as the premise. And this requires some serious observation of ourselves. Because when we go to buy that new car, when we go to get that new home, when we go to do whatever the heck it is we're going to do with our money, we've got to ask ourselves and really look, is any one of those money fallacies the premise of my decision? And if even a sliver of that money fallacy is in there as the premise of your decision, I guarantee you, you are going to be way less wealthy than you think you're going to be. Especially if you haven't learned what I'm going to share with you on the vice versa side of that, which is really how to actually use your money. If you've distinguished the money fallacies, how do you actually plan money as you make it to grow into something much more? So rule number 1, absolute rule number 1, make no decision ever with one of the 3 money fallacies as the premise. And now I want to kind of, step into a different zone, and I want to start breaking some stuff down for you guys, okay? And that's going to come on the heels of rule number 2. Now, rule number 2 is decide what level of lifestyle you are going to live and stick to it. Decide what level of lifestyle you're going to live and stick to it. This is a huge distinction because most people's lifestyles that get chosen are actually unconscious. Those lifestyles are unconsciously chosen. They're not a well thought out, orchestrated strategy. It's more like just a spontaneous, off the cuff response. So all of a sudden, money's coming in, and you've got this off the cuff response of lifestyle. That's going to lead to trouble. When your lifestyle is literally strategic, you choose what your lifestyle is going to be based on all the numbers I'm about to give you, and you stick to it, that's when you are going to scale your wealth so much faster. So let me break this down, okay? And here's where we're going to discover some of the money fallacies as well. So, lifestyle should never risk wealth. Lifestyle should never risk wealth. We've got to ingrain these principles into us. Here's how this breaks down, my friends. Let's say that you're earning $50,000 a month as a network marketer, right? We'll just use this as an example. $50,000 a month check. You're crazy excited, right? $50K a month, that's the dream. Well, let's go back to money fallacy number 1. $50K a month, I'm done for life. If you think that, you're screwed. Money fallacy number 2, this $50K a month is mine. If you think that and you make any decisions based off that, you're screwed. Money fallacy number 3. I don't even remember what number 3 was. What the heck was number 3? I probably could remember it, but it's easier to just go back here. It will be there next month. Money fallacy number 3. It will be there next month. If you start making a million decisions based off that, you're screwed. Here's why. $50,000 a month sounds great. However, a 1099 income is an incredibly difficult, not incredibly, but more difficult than a like a sole business owner or an LLC or an S Corp or a corporation of some sort, if you are incorporated, to manage tax purpose wise, okay? The reason why is every single dime you make goes to the federal government. That's a 1099 income, my friends. That every penny goes to the federal government and is reported. So, you know, you're going to report all your money anyway, but this is different because all your money goes to the federal government to be reported, and then the deductions that you can take out of a 1099 income, you have to take all your deductions from whatever your 50K check is. So you have to pay all your expenses from that 50K check, all your this from that 50K check. Everything has to get paid from this 50K check. Compared to a business, whereas like right now, for instance, I pay all of my expenses first before I have net profit. So when I get money in, I pay rent, I pay food. I mean, we deduct every possible thing you can, and then you're left with a number of net profit. 1.2 million, 700,000, 2.4 million, whatever it is. That's real net profit. With a check that's 1099, you're getting that check, but then you got to pay all your expenses from that check, which there's a considerable amount, and then you get hit with the unavoidable tax man, okay? So here's how this looks. At 50K a month, you're going to be paying pretty much 38% to, depending on where you live, 48%, okay? Straight up gone. Just gone. It doesn't exist. It never existed. It's gone. You don't actually have 50K a month, all right? So that's just kicking things off, all right? We're just kicking things off, and this is already down pretty much about $20,000, okay? So consider that just gone. And obviously you can take some deductions from this, and I'm no accountant, so this isn't professional advice or whatever, blah, 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 blah. There's a lot of things you can say about this. I'm just using this as an example. Now, let's say that you're operating from the fallacy that most people are operating from, all these 3 money fallacies, and with $50,000 a month, you feel like you are freaking set. You can have whatever the heck you want. So now all of a sudden you go and you've got your $5,000 a month house, you know, which is a nice place. You can get a pretty decent place for $5K a month. Maybe you've got a bigger house than that. It certainly wouldn't be the first time somebody started making 50 grand a month and thought they were Oprah. Next, you've got, you know, 2 nice cars. You've got 1 new car for you, 1 new car for your wife, you know, $600-700 a month each, and then insurance, whatever. So now you're looking at another, you know, $1,500 a month. Now you increase your lifestyle a pretty substantial amount. You're spending stuff every month on home improvement, on kids, whatever the heck it is, and all of a sudden this really begins to add up, okay? And a lot of people really quickly, with $50,000 a month coming in, are going to start living a 15K to 20K a month lifestyle, okay? That's what they're going to start doing. Because they're not planning this, it's just the response to having that money. 15 to 20K a month lifestyle. Why not? You can, right? Well, here's the reality. After you deduct a 15 to 20K a month lifestyle, what you're left with out of that actual 50 grand, oh yeah, by the way, this isn't including any expenses. So if you're doing any lead generation, if you're doing advertising, if you have a personal assistant, if you have schedule planners, if you have tools for your business, you have all these different things, add that in there too, okay? What you're actually going to be left with is somewhere around $10,000 a month, okay? This is a cold hard reality of the business, of creating money. $10,000 a month, what can I say about that? It's nice, it's cool. You're not ever going to create wealth, like real wealth. Like you won't have to worry about your food, you know what I mean? Like you don't really have a huge buffer. At 10K a month, you've got, for 12 months, $120,000 in the bank at the end of 12 months. So it's going to take you 2 years to bank $240,000, okay? So this is a wealth creation class. I want to teach you how to create wealth right now. I'm not here to say what's right or wrong. There's nothing wrong with this. This is completely right. I mean, anything you want to do, it is your choice in life. You can do anything you want to do. I mean, anyone can. Life is all about that. Life is about choice. It's about experience. It's about you living your life and doing what you want to do. I'm not saying anything's right or anything's wrong. I'm just here to teach how to create wealth. I don't view this as wealth. I don't view $120,000 being saved every year as wealth. That's not wealth to me, okay? I want to teach people how to create wealth because I think that if you create wealth and when you create wealth, you're going to use that wealth in a way better way than I think a lot of the old paradigms have used wealth, right? A lot of the wealth of the world in the past has been consolidated in this small group of hands of, the energy industry and, all these other industries. I don't want to talk about that, but that's where a lot of wealth has been consolidated. I personally don't feel like that wealth has really produced the greatest results on the planet. I would much rather have the wealth in the hands of me and you. I want the wealth back in the hands of people. I want people to have wealth. You know why? Because we grew up knowing what it was like to not have wealth. We grew up knowing what it was like to struggle, what it was like to be miserable, what it was like to watch friends and people and family suffer. And I think we just naturally have lots of compassion in our heart. People who didn't have wealth and who come into wealth tend to be more compassionate. They tend to use that wealth better. They tend to do better things with that wealth. So for all these reasons, I find it very meaningful to teach you how to create wealth. That's what I want to do here. I want to teach you how to create wealth. So in this example, this is where a lot of people begin to make their first mistakes because they're operating out of the money fallacy that A, number one, that money is mine. B, number two, they're done. And C, number three, it will be there next month. So they can do whatever they want. They start to make all these decisions and lo and behold, they're actually not really creating wealth. They're just living very nice, which is cool, but it's not wealth creation. So, rule number two is decide what level of lifestyle you're going to live and stick to it. Let me share my personal philosophy and what I actually did to create wealth. Because the reality is unlike a lot of people who reach this point, within 12 months of me earning $50,000 a month, I had $250,000 in the bank. So I essentially doubled what, in fact, actually more. I had probably closer to like 350. So I essentially doubled or tripled what a lot of people probably have in the bank, earning the same amount of income. And I want to show you how and share with you how. So here's what I did. I decided that I was not going to increase my lifestyle really at all. And this is a huge mindset shift, but it's a profound one. It's a really profound one. I decided what level of lifestyle I wanted and I stuck to it. And my mindset was like, the only money that I want to spend is money that I will never even notice. And I just didn't really want to go out there and create this instantaneously larger lifestyle that would start sucking all the money. I wanted to instead, as you'll see in rule number 3, reinvest that money back into my business and reinvest that money back into my assets so that my money could actually grow bigger, so that my business could actually grow bigger. That was a higher priority to me. And when it comes to creating wealth, my advice for you is that's got to be a higher priority than you. So here's what my life literally looked like. In September of 2007, I went from earning like $5,000 to $8,000 a month before that to $30,000 a month in September, $65,000 a month in October, $62,000 a month in November, $58,000 a month in December. This was my life, right? So for those first 3 months of $30,000, $65,000, $62,000, and actually the fourth month of whatever thousand big, I didn't move out of my parents' house. I stayed in my parents' house. I didn't buy a single solitary freaking thing. I literally made zero, absolutely zero change to whether or not I was a broke 22-year-old college kid living in a basement or a guy making $60,000 a month. Zero change. Zero change. Finally, in December of 2007, I went and bought a new car. I was still driving a 1993 Subaru Impreza that had more dents in it than, a freaking car that was in the middle of a what are those, driving range. And people were just wailing golf balls at it, okay? I mean, the thing was destroyed. Finally, 4 months later, I went and I leased. I didn't even put down cash. I leased because I wanted to keep my cash to reinvest in advertising. I leased for $600 a month a brand new Audi A4. Okay, again, not some crazy car. It was a $36,000 car. Not insane, not huge, not crazy. Very much within those means, and I got a new car. I continued living in my parents' house for January, February, March, April, May. Finally, in June of 2008, after I had already put about $250,000 in the bank, I moved to San Diego, California. I didn't want to make an upgrade to my lifestyle or do anything until I was already at a level of cash in the bank that would provide. What do smart entrepreneurs do? We design their business for maximum money in the bank. We design our business and our lifestyle for maximum money in the bank and for future security in cash flow. Now, here's why this is so important. If that business went away tomorrow, I had $250,000 in the bank to start another one. You can do a heck of a lot with $250,000 in the bank. You can advertise pretty much anywhere you want to advertise. You can outmarket. You can design some really cool stuff. There's a lot you can do with $250,000 in the bank. So my very first focus was to design my business for maximum money in the bank, for future security, and for cash flow. And so that's what I did. Now, rule number 3 of the road to smart money is you reinvest as much money as possible into advertising and growing your business's assets. So when I moved to San Diego, did I go crazy? Here's what I did. I got a $2,900 a month condo on the beach, okay? So my only real commitment was this $2,900 a month condo on the beach. My car, which was still $600 a month maybe. What are my other monthly costs, you know? For my actual lifestyle. I had a phone, but I put on maximum plan. What's that? $150 a month, $180 a month. And then I would go out to eat. I would go out to eat. I was literally living a $50,000 a year lifestyle, $60,000 a year lifestyle. Okay? This is huge distinctions because I set what kind of lifestyle I wanted to be living to maximize my money in the bank first. To maximize my money in the bank first. That's what I set. I didn't set, you know what, I want to go live a $300,000 a year lifestyle when I'm earning $500,000 a year and the government's going to take 40% of that, which means there's nothing left at the end of the year. By the end of that first year, there was a lot more than nothing left in my bank account. This is a choice that you get to make. Again, I'm just sharing with you what I did and what I believe is the path to maximize wealth, right? So, what I did was I took all that money that I was making and I reinvested it back into the business. So this money right here came right down here. And within 12 months, I went from earning around $50,000 a month to October of 2008, I had my first $100,000 month and I never looked back. Since October of 2008, I've never made less than $100,000 a month. I just don't do it. You know what I mean? But in 2008, October, because I put this money into advertising, I scaled the business back up, and now all of a sudden, all these numbers start to change down here, right? So you go from $50,000 a month, and if you stay at $50,000 a month, this is the equation you're working with. But at $100,000 a month, well, guess what? There's a little bit more margins that begin to open up here, right? Which is why it's so damn important to scale your business to higher revenues, because the margins change, the margins open up. And I don't care what anybody says, the more money that you start to make, the lower your margins go. The more money you make, the more costs you have, okay? Every entrepreneur needs to figure this out. It will never be as profitable as when you first start making your first big amount of money. That's when your margins are at your lowest. But as soon as you start making a lot more money, stuff just starts to pile up, okay? Staff comes in, this happens, that happens. Your margins just start going down. But nonetheless, when you're working with that much more revenue, you've got more margin to play with. So now all of a sudden, out of this 100K, yeah, Uncle Sam is coming for their bit, but remember, as a non-1099 income, you're able to deduct as much as humanly possible out of this money first to actually pay for your lifestyle. And then once there's the remaining left over, that's what you declare. That's what Uncle Sam now comes and takes his money from. So in any case, I got to here. Now, when I got to 100K a month, what do you think I did? Do you think I went crazy? I didn't change a darn thing. Not a darn thing, okay? All I did was live in my little condo, work like a slave all day long, like crazy, go out to eat when I wanted to. I did yoga, not these extravagant things. I maintained my lifestyle. I chose what my lifestyle was going to be, and I just decided to stick to it. I maintained it. Now, as the years went on, this was moving into 2009, and so in 2008, this is all my actual taxable income. In 2008, it was 880K. That's how much money I made in 2008. In 2009, it was 2.7 million, which was a pretty substantial jump. 2010, it was 6.2 million. 2011, it was 3.1 million. And the reason why is because last year, like I said, I took off. I mean, I needed to just leave. I got out. And I went and I found myself and all these different things, whatever, that's a whole other conversation. But this is the scalability of my business. Now, as I scaled my business up like this, what do you think I did at each of these levels? Do you think my lifestyle changed as each of these things happened? How much do you think I changed my lifestyle? Because I'll tell you right now, earning $2.7 million in 2009, you would not have noticed a damn thing different about my lifestyle from 2008. Not a darn thing. I went from living in a $2,900 a month condo on the beach to a $3,500 a month 5-bedroom house in Encinitas, okay? That's pretty much the only difference. Oh, what else did I do? In 2010, I bought a new car. My Audi got totaled, so I went out and I bought a new Mercedes ML that was like $65,000. Did I pay for it in cash? Heck no. I put down 10 grand and I leased it, so I have probably an $800 a month payment on that thing. Again, when you're making $2.7 million, do you think you're ever going to notice $800 a month? Are you going to notice $3,500 a month? My entire philosophy is that I design my lifestyle so that anything I spend in my life, I won't ever even know it exists. I won't feel it. I won't know it. I will have no clue it exists, ever. And that's how I design, that's my personal philosophy for how I design my lifestyle to fit into my revenue. So did I go and did buy the house that I'm living in right now back then? Absolutely not. Like right now, if you were to look around, you would see a pretty extravagant place. I spend a lot more money where I'm living right now than I did back then. Why is that, right? Well, it's because after years and years and years and years of making this much money, I will never notice the 6 figures that I spend on my rent every year. I won't notice it. It won't even exist to me, which right now, to live in this place, I'll just tell you guys, I don't care, I'm sharing everything with you. $8,000 a month is what it costs me, okay? I have 2 other roommates. Grand total, we pay about $18,000 a month to live in a 10,000 square foot mansion in San Diego that has, a 14-person luxury theater, a freaking Grand Wailea resort in our backyard, like rope swing, nuts, pools, wine cellars, like steam shop. This place is insane. It's a smart house. The whole house is run off our phone. We pull up to the house and we hit a button and it turns on our water fountains. We hit another button, it heats up the jacuzzi. We hit another button, it lights up the foyer. This place is insane. We pay 18 grand a month, okay? We won't notice it. I won't notice it. It's unnoticeable to me because, again, how I designed this, my whole strategy for maximizing my money is that I only spend money on my lifestyle when it's still barely even noticeable. And this is my advice to you to create wealth. If you want to create wealth, do this. If you want more money in the bank than most people will ever have, do this. If you want long-term financial security, do this. If you want cash flow that you don't have to worry if your check is gone here today or tomorrow because you've got the cash, you've got the financial power to create whatever the heck you want, then do this. Again, this is just my advice if you want to create wealth. It's just my experience of how I've personally scaled wealth and scaled money and managed all these different components that we have to think about when living, right? We've got to think about the places we live and the cars we buy and the vacations we take and the schools we put our kids into and the clothes that we get them and all these different things. We have to think about that. We have to think about our luxuries. We have to think about our practicalities. This is important training, incredibly important training, because you've got to adopt these mindsets and principles. And when you adopt these mindsets and principles, it just alters how you look at money. It alters how you look at spending. It alters, how much you even desire different things. Like, I never desired any of this stuff. My desire was to create wealth. My desire was to accomplish my goals. My desire was to fulfill my mission for what it is I'm up to here and all these different things. And that just leads to far more effective results. Okay, my friends? So, a lot of money advice here, a lot of money education. Lifestyle should never risk wealth. Lifestyle should never risk wealth. Some final things I want to say here. Really, when it comes to keeping your money, one of the absolute biggest strategies that you can ever really implement when it comes to keeping your money is just your tax minimization plan. And this doesn't become really relevant until, as an entrepreneur, you're making a decent amount of money. It's always relevant, but there's different things you can do once you're making more money. But because Uncle Sam comes in and takes such a humongous piece of everything we create, he doesn't create crap. We create it. He comes in. He takes what we create. And because that happens, the biggest area for us to focus on to really keep a lot of our money is optimizing tax planning. And so I'm not a tax strategist. I'm not going to go into all that stuff. There's a bunch of different things you can do. I'll share some things I've done. One thing I wouldn't recommend doing is the whole foundation angle. I know a lot of times people talk about, well, why not set up a foundation? I personally think you should set up a foundation, but it should be because that's the charitable arm, that's the contribution arm of your life and of your business. And I always wanted to set up a foundation because at our heart, our vision is to create one of the largest foundations on the planet, giving more to the areas that are really going to advance life forward and solve some critical issues and problems than I see lots of other foundations doing. It's always been a vision of ours, but I also thought it was going to be a tax minimization strategy. That turns out to not be true, okay? In this entire process, I've put over $1.1 million cash into our foundation. Now, I thought I was going to be able to get some of that money back to use to loan to myself to start other businesses, to invest in different companies, whatever it was. I had a sort of thinking around it that money would be able to grow itself or come back and do. Well, that's actually not true at all. Once that money goes into a foundation, it's meant to be given away. Okay, that's what it's meant to do. It's meant to be given away. So now I just build schools in Africa and give lots of money away to a lot of amazing organizations, and I'm really happy about that. However, if I had known that none of that 1.1 would be coming back, I might have had a different plan, a different strategy about how to use it. So my advice is, go the foundation route as a contribution arm, but it's not really the best tax planning strategy. The best tax planning strategy, and this is after years of research, and I'm still exploring, I'm still always doing more, but number one, when you really start consider significant money, you really got to consider where you live. Just moving to a state that has a 0% income tax is going to save a lot of money. Setting up your business, your operations, your infrastructure, whatever it is, in a state that has a 0% income tax is going to save a lot of money. I have friends who have some pretty crafty ways of doing this. I'll tell you right now, the government's all over a lot of different things. You've got to show proof of residence. You've got to, they look at credit card purchases. They look at phone time. However, there's always ways to do different things, okay? So moving to a place of 0% state income tax is just number one right off the bat. Number two, we do a lot of accrual accounting, which really doesn't save you that much money, but it buys you time, and I'll always take time, to figure out how to save more money. So accrual accounting buys you time. Accrual accounting is essentially, all the money that you can project into the future as revenues that you can't possibly claim right now because of a bunch of different liabilities actually shows up on the books in the later years. And so we've done a lot of accrual accounting, which you do to just pay that taxes on that later, essentially. Other things you can do is really just work with very, 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 very wise and good accountants. I think if you've followed me, I've recommended Mike Dillard's Elevation Group a few different times. They have some fantastic resources about accountants in there who know a lot of deductions that a lot of regular accountants will never know. So how to deduct and set up and structure your business in lots of different ways to just carve off that percentage that you're paying to the government will really increase that net profit. So that's huge stuff. Number two, though, my friends, is truthfully just design your lifestyle. Choose your lifestyle, design your lifestyle, and stick to it. Say, you know what? If I'm making $50,000 a month, I want to live a $10,000 a month lifestyle. And you say that, I want to live a $10,000 a month lifestyle. And you make sure that your lifestyle does not exceed that. And if you set your lifestyle and you stick to it, then you're gonna increase your margins so much more. But if you don't do it consciously, if you just say, hey, whatever, you're gonna find that at the end of the year, your margins were crap. At the end of the year, $100,000 disappeared and you don't have anything to show for it. So design your lifestyle and stick to it. Number three is focus on maximizing net profits in your business. This is a whole other class, but eradicate all the time-sucking, energy-wasting stuff that actually doesn't produce a lot of net profit, even if it's producing a lot of money on the front end. And believe me, this is crazy because I had all these programs and products and things that were making tons of money. I mean, we'd pull in $400,000, $500,000 from one product line. And when we actually did the math, that product line made us no freaking money. So even if you're making lots of money, that's not really the metric to be looking at. Look deeply into every component of your business and where you spend your time and where you spend your energy, and ask yourself at the end of the day, what is the net result of me doing that? And number four, reinvest as much money as possible into advertising and growing your business's assets. Because if you want to achieve exponential growth like this, in 2012, this is my favorite year of all because I've literally worked a fraction of I've ever worked, and this is going to be possibly our biggest net year yet. So if you want to be able to scale wealth like this, then you've got to be reinvesting as much money as possible into advertising and into growing your business's assets. Because the only way that this was possible was this. If I hadn't been doing this, all the other components are really key, but if I hadn't been doing this, this would have never happened. This would have stayed exactly the same. But this happened because I literally invested as much money as possible into growing my business. What's up, my friends? Mr. Jonathan Budd back again. Long story short, the card got full. I had a webinar. I had to go complete that webinar. It got dark. Now all I have is this weird giant light to light things up. So I'm sorry for this weird production quality. But in closing to this important and long video, which by the way, I'm glad it was this long because we had a tremendous amount to actually talk about. This is really important knowledge. I wouldn't have wanted to cut any of this out. If it takes you, 40 minutes to digest information that seriously alters how you spend money and alters how you create wealth and alters how you view things and alters, the difference between you having $120,000 in the bank and $600,000 in the bank 24 months from now, I'm really glad you watched this video. I'm really glad you took the 40 minutes to do that. You know what I mean? In closing, what I was saying was, without rule number 3 in investing as much money as possible back into my business, these types of results would not have been possible. Just check in with yourself, my friends. Check in with yourself and ask yourself, what is it you want? If wealth is what you want, if wealth is truly what you want, then follow every darn thing that I've described in this video. And that is the fastest path. It is truly the fastest path to put as much money in the bank as possible. It's the fastest path to create as much wealth and as much money as possible. And I guarantee you, it will set you up in the future so much better. Because even if my business disappeared, like, I mean, it was wiped off the face of the earth right now, as in I made absolutely no money, period, because of all of my wise decisions in the past, I'd be set for the rest of my life. I mean, literally set for the rest of my life if I wanted to be. You know, I would never be, because I love working. I have things I want to do. But if I wanted to start another business, no problem. If I wanted to create a new product or join a new opportunity or whatever, I'd have more than enough capital to advertise it and kick it off the ground and build another $1 million business, because I was smart. I had the road to smart money. I didn't go out and squander all the wealth on lifestyle initially. I never let lifestyle risk my wealth, and I followed these teachings. So I don't want to keep reiterating it, but it worked for me. And, you know, again, the only thing I want to say is I'm not an accountant. I'm not a legal guy. I'm not giving you any, you know, financial advice here whatsoever. All I am is some guy who made some money, and I figured out how to make it a lot faster than most people make it. And I figured out how to keep a lot more than most people keep. And I figured out how to maximize profit margins more than a lot of people too. So that's all I'm doing. All I'm doing is sharing what it is I know. This is not any type of professional legal advice. That's my disclaimer. With that said, I gotta get out of here. You guys gotta get back to work. I gotta go to dinner. I don't even know what day time it is anymore. But I love you. I hope you took some incredible wisdom and money mentoring from this video. And you know, if you've got any questions, if you want to dialogue about anything, if you want to ask me anything, go ahead, leave that comment below this video. I'd love to dialogue with you about all of this and help you in any way I can. We'll speak in a bit.